Hi, welcome back to Zach of All Trades. I'm Zach. I recently bought these two tools for about the same money. It turns out that one of them might have been a waste of money, and the other one I wish I had bought 10 years ago. I'm going to put these head to head, see how they perform, and see if I can maybe help you decide which one's right for you. I'm working on this project, which will of course be making an appearance in a subsequent video, and after a while of using one of these, I got to wondering, is this really the best way to do this? There's got to be a better way. And so I went and got the other one. I'm going to do, as I mentioned, I'm going to do a head-to-head to see if there are any clear advantages, maybe to show to you one of these that might work for your situation a little bit better. I paid, like I mentioned, about the same money for them. This one was $34.99 at Tractor Supply Company. This was the I don't know, the top grade of the two grades of them, and this was $27.99 at the Hazard Fraught. I did a little bit of research on these needle scalers, and it seems as though, from what I see on the internet, they make them all in the same place, in the same factory. They have all the same tool marks and whatnot on them, and they just get branded Blue Point or Hazard Fraught and marked up or not marked up on the price. It has to be true. It was on the internet. They can't put it on the internet unless it's true. So I went ahead and bought the Hazard Fraught one. I did a bunch of thinking about how to sort of quantifiably compare the difference between these two, and here's what I came up with. I'm going to demonstrate the two on this section of this 1969 Airflow, not Airstream, but Airflow camper trailer frame. As far as I know, it's been untouched since about 1969, with the exception of the fact that the previous owner at least once painted it with, I think, a broom and latex house paint. I don't know that for sure, but that's my going theory. So what I've built here is a mask of sorts. I'm going to clamp this thing onto here, and I'm going to do one on one side, one tool on one side and one tool on the other. I'm going to give it 2 minutes so that you can kind of see which one is a better use of your time. First up, we have the venerable Sandblaster. It's been around for ages. It's been used on a zillion things. It's pretty straightforward. It's a well-tested, tried and true system. It has some benefits and it has some drawbacks. Some of the downside is the fact that well, you got a lot of stuff flying around all over the place, so you definitely got to use eye protection. Probably ought to be wearing ear protection as well, keep the stuff out of your ears. It's fairly quiet, easy to use. What else? Downsides, sometimes the hose gets clogged up. That can be a pain in the butt. One of the big downsides, one of the big detractors to me, is the fact that I paid $35 for this Sandblaster, but I also had to pay $10 for the 50-pound bag of blasting media, the coal slag that I'm going to use, and that's the cheap stuff that I'm going to use to blast this thing. The 50-pound bag doesn't last all that long, so I would be inclined to put that in the downsides. But if you live in a place like I do, I, with a little bit of ingenuity, have an endless supply of blasting media. So I don't really know whether to put that in the pluses or the minuses, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and give it 2 minutes and see what kind of work we can get done. Ready, go. And there's 2 minutes. So one of the downsides comes clearly into sight here. My sand didn't want to feed very well. So that's what you get. So there's 2 minutes worth. And let me step out of the way so you can see it in the light. Now that's a pretty thick layer of old paint, several thick layers of old paint and some rust. Yeah, there we go. The next contender is the needle gun. I mentioned I should have had some stuff in my ears. The next contender is the needle gun. It's been used for, I don't know, a long time on Navy ships never having been a boat sailor, I've never used a needle gun before, so there will be a few of you, probably Kenny included, my father-in-law, that a needle gun will probably send shivers down their spine because, so I'm told, boat sailors might spend a lot of their life chipping paint with a needle gun so that it can be repainted. So it seems as though if the Navy's been using them for eons, it's probably a pretty good system. Some of the upsides are the fact that blasting media, what blasting media? You don't have to worry about blasting media. It just, you know, knocks the stuff off by banging these little needles against it. You don't have to worry about blasting media. You don't have to worry about your hose clogging up and the media feeding in there. You buy it once, you know. I paid whatever it was, 27, 28 bucks for it, and I don't have to buy any blasting media. I'm going to say that that's probably the biggest upside to it. Some of the downsides that I've experienced, man, it's noisy. Holy moly. This thing will make you want to go crazy after not very long. Also, you got less stuff flying around with this. Obviously, the paint and rust flakes and whatnot that you knock off are going to be falling off, but less high-speed projectiles, if you will. So we're going to go ahead and give this 2 minutes and see which one comes out the winner. And go. Time. All right. Let me take my masking off here. We'll get a good look at our comparison. All right, here we go. There's the sandblaster on the right, and there's the needle gun on the left. Now, I will say that they both have their, they both have their strengths. That sandblaster, man, that brings it just nicely down to bare metal. Which is kind of what I'm after. It seems like a lot cleaner finish. The needle gun chips the paint off pretty well. And I didn't have my media clogging on the needle gun. That was kind of nice. But it's not all that clean, and I think I did my best to give it equal effort. So that's how it removes paint. I'm actually going to go back here to one of these other cross members where it's more rust that needs to be removed, and we're going to get a look at the same thing there. All right, now for the second test, we're going to try it on mostly rust. The first one was a lot of paint, which the sandblaster kind of struggled on the paint, plus I was having feed issues, but just to give it a kind of a fair shake, I want to see what it does on just rust. So here we go, 2 minutes. Begin. Minutes. All right, now for the sandblaster, 2 minutes. And go. Time! Now for the final assessment. It seems as though the needle gun had a bit of an advantage removing the paint. It doesn't take it off as nicely, it's not as nice of a finish, and it's not as complete. The sandblaster does actually a really good job if you can get it to feed. You can see the difference very clearly right there. Whereas on the rust, the sandblaster is the clear winner. I'm going to go ahead and say that while I don't think that it was a waste of money per se, the needle gun is not exactly, doesn't quite perform like I needed it to. And the truth of the matter is, if I had bought the sandblaster first, I probably wouldn't have gone and bought the needle gun. There is some finickiness, of course, with the sandblaster. If you can keep it, if you can figure out how to get it to feed well, I think part of my problem was the coarseness of my homegrown blasting media. But truthfully, they both have their place. The needle gun actually kind of has a bit of an advantage if the only thing that you're doing is trying to take off an old layer of paint over something, off of something that's steel, and that you're not worried about damaging it. This will do it just fine. But if you're needing to take down rust and paint, this is kind of the bee's knees. Truthfully, you could probably go over this to get off the paint and then go over it with this to get off the rust. So I hope that helped you out a little bit, and I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and click the bell. Go ahead and mash that bell. Thanks for watching.